Hello, everyone. All right, so I'm about to tell a story about how David Noland, who is a son of former Smith Hoy attorney Craig Noland and Rita Rabideau Noland, came to my apartment door, knocked on the door, and when I opened it, he tried to bust in, like shove his way in, force me back, get into my apartment. Disclaimer, I live alone in downtown Grand Rapids. I do not know this dude. I did not know this dude. I didn't know he was David Noland until after it all happened, and I did my thing and researched the out of him and figure out who he was. So the reason I'm making this video is because I tried seeking help from law enforcement and they didn't help me. So, yeah, I'm very disappointed, but not surprised with the way law enforcement has handled this. But I did give them over a month because by the time with the holidays and stuff, the back and forth, and I was giving them the benefit of the doubt. I wasn't gonna post anything or whatever. I was gonna let them do their thing. And I had hopes that they would like do the right thing. And good old boy strikes again. So this is on December 22nd at 10 p.m. It was the Christmas blizzard, so everyone was inside. Nobody was out and about. I get a knock at my apartment door, and I opened the door to see this dude standing there. Looked about 30, white dude. He was wearing like a gray or black jacket, like nicer jacket, maybe a North Face, and a Pittsburgh Penguins beanie. He just says to me, "Can I come inside? It's cold." And I'm like, "No." And he goes, "Come on, like, please, it's really cold out." I was like, no. Then he turned to, "Well, can I at least come inside and get a glass of water?" And I'm like, "No, I can get you a glass of water if you need water, but you're not coming in my apartment." And he goes, "Oh, come on, like, why not?" And I go, "I don't know you." And he's like, "Oh, I'm David. I'm your neighbor. I live right over there." I have like a 20-unit condo place, like, so there's not very many people in this complex. He's like, "Apartment 4." And I'm like, and like, that doesn't mean anything to me. I don't know who you are. You're not coming to my apartment. This dude is not taking no for an answer. And it's registering. All right, you're at my door asking for water and shelter, and then you just get done telling me you live literally 30 steps away from me with your own water and shelter. Like, that's Predator 101. I'm cold, I'm thirsty, like, and at this point too, he's like looking over my shoulder into my apartment, like peering behind me. He's taller than me, so he's looking into my apartment, craning his neck around as if to see if anyone else is here or if I'm alone. All of a sudden, he is on his way into my apartment. Like, he throws his right foot under the door, right in the door frame, takes a step forward and lodges it in there. So it's like a door jam at this point. So I'm like, oh, hell no. So I throw my left foot opposite of where he put his on the other side of the door. I wasn't wearing shoes, but it at least served as somewhat of an obstruction. So then I had my left foot as my plant foot, and then I just, with everything I had, like adrenaline, threw myself as hard as I could at the door, like with my right side, because he had come forward with his left side. Like, he did his plant foot and then he was coming in. He was pushing his way in. He was trying to like shove me back using the door. So I was able to knock him back like a little bit, force him back. Not entirely out of my apartment, but enough to where the door was like this much open still. So then we're just doing feats of strength back and forth, like power struggle. We're muscling our way. And I'm like, oh my God, no, not tonight. And finally, I just like threw everything I could one more time and was able to get the door to the closed position and then threw the deadbolt on, through the safety lock. And I was like, oh my God. So I was like paralyzed. So I waited to hear him go down my steps, because my apartment is like, you just walk up. There's no lobby area. You walk up straight from the outside. And I was like, all right. I called the cops. cops are like, all right, we're sending officers out to you. So I'm sitting there waiting for these cops to show up, and I'm like peeping out my window. Like I'm kind of like scared to look out the window. I don't know. I just like I was a mess, and the cops never came. So I was like, okay. So then I look at the police scanner, right? So all the calls that get logged from Granite's Police Department, like the 911 dispatch. So I'm looking for around 10 p.m. when I called, and I see disorderly conduct on College Avenue Southeast. So College is miles long. And I absolutely told them the street number, the unit numbers, the names, everything I just told you guys. A dude tried to bust into my apartment. I'm scared. And then I realized that if you put it as disorderly conduct and you put a 0, so you don't list a street number or a location, it doesn't show up on the crime map. So that makes sense if you're trying to cover something up. So they never showed. So I'm like, all right, I'll figure out who the this is, because I'm not sleeping. Found this dude, so this is him. Yeah. And I'm sorry, what's happening if he busts in? Like, law enforcement isn't treating this as if it's anything to write home about, but what if he had successfully busted in? Like, if I wasn't able to muscle my way, like, out of that situation, if he had a weapon, he had his hands in his pockets. Like, I don't know what he had. If he had the chance to pull, like, I don't know. But, like, let's say he did. If he gets in my apartment, if he's able to successfully shove me out of the way, shove his way in, what are we doing? Are we just gonna shoot the shit and drink juice boxes and play go fish? Like, no. Something bad's going down. It's just, there's nothing good that comes from that. We're not gonna spawn a friendship like out of that. It's not happening. So yeah. The other thing is, ever since the lug nuts thing happened, where 4 out of my 5 lug nuts were loosened with a torque wrench on my back passenger tire, I got a security camera, and I have it like very obviously set up. It's got the scope of the whole parking lot, my car, like walking up to my stairwell. So I see everything that's going on. And for the first time in going on 2 years since I've had that camera out there, the battery died. It's got like a 2-year battery life. So it was getting there about time. So for like a week or two, I did not have this camera up. I had to take it in and I had to replace the batteries. So this just happened to take place during that period where I don't have that security camera, like for the first time in like almost 2 years. And it's my neighbor that comes and does it. Like, he knew my camera was not set up, so he'd been watching. Like, that was opportunistic of him. All right. David Noland, okay. His dad's an attorney. Surprise, surprise. Craig Noland, all right? And I'm gonna shock the world right now. He worked at Smith Hoy Law Firm with my former employers, Bill Henn and Kevin Lesbrance, and my boy, Judge Joe Rossi. Yeah, so the usual suspects. His mom is the
Director of Operations at MetroHealth.
Rita Rabideau Noland, okay? And
Rita is also the treasurer of the association that manages my condo complex. And they own the unit that David lives in. So mommy and daddy bought that apartment unit 4 that David lives in. So it makes more and more sense why nothing happened in response to what David did to me and why it's being swept under the rug. So after the cops didn't show up to my 911 call, I followed up with the department the following morning, and spoke to an intern and basically was like, I don't know why the cops never showed. And the intern was like, yeah, they definitely should have made contact with you. I don't understand why they didn't. And I was like, yeah, well, it kind of par for the course of what I've been dealing with lately, but I have more information, so I want to add that I know not only that this dude is David and he lives in apartment 4, but he's David Noland, and here's all this information I found. And he was like, okay, I'm going to add it to the report and I'll pass it along to my supervisor, and I can't make any guarantees that it'll go to a detective and be investigated, but I will put all the information that you provided. And I was like, thank you very much. This guy was super nice. He was great. So I didn't hear anything back. So I kept pestering and calling and asking for updates. And finally, they passed it along to a detective. So Detective Brad Cutright got the case, and I spoke with him. I told him everything, and he was like, yeah, that's messed up.
So they had me come in and identify this dude down at the police station, all right? So Detective Brad Cutright printed me out. He had a lineup of 6 similar looking white dudes. It was black and white photos. They all look like mugshots. So I picked him out the lineup. And then the Grand Rapids Police Department detective unit says since he won't answer his cell phone, they can't charge him with anything. So it's actually crazy. I didn't know that if you don't answer your phone, if the detective or the GRPD is trying to get a hold of you, if you just don't answer your phone, you actually can't get in trouble. Like, if you don't, I guess this might be like a new thing, or maybe it's just for rich white dudes who have really well-connected parents and whose dad is actually an attorney and mom's side of the family is super well-connected, the Rabideaus. So maybe that only applies to people like that. But yeah, if you try to force your way into a girl's apartment like a stranger, you're good if you just don't answer the phone. So